In a bustling city called Mirath, generations of families lived together, filling the streets with the laughter of children and the energy of youth. The city thrived with its ever-growing population, but over time, the rising numbers began to strain its resources. Schools overflowed, healthcare facilities were overburdened, and food supplies became scarce. One day, a charismatic leader named Harun appeared before the people. Calling for a grand assembly in the central square, Harun addressed the crowd, which included children, young adults, and the elderly. "People of Mirath," he began, "our city cannot sustain such rapid growth. We must act now to ensure a better future for our children." Harun proposed a bold plan: strict birth control measures. "No more than 2 children per family," he declared, "and 1 is even better." To encourage compliance, he offered incentives: money, jobs, free housing, and education for families who adhered to the policy. Slogans like, "No more 2 kids, 1 is better," were plastered across the city, and compliance was enforced rigorously. At first, the policy seemed to work. The streets became less crowded, resources were better distributed, and the economy improved. But over time, something unexpected happened. People became so accustomed to the idea of limiting births that they began to lose interest in marriage and starting families altogether. As years turned into decades, the birth rate plummeted, and the city grew eerily quiet. 70 years later, Mirath had transformed into a shadow of its former self. The once bustling streets were now deserted, the schools were empty, and the playgrounds lay in ruins. The few remaining citizens were elderly, and no children or young adults were left to inherit the city. It was in this desolation that a new leader, Layla, rose to power. She called for another grand assembly, but this time, the square was sparsely filled with tired, wrinkled faces. "People of Mirath," Layla pleaded, "we must rise again. Our city needs children to bring it back to life. We need families to rebuild our future." But her call to action was met with silence. The city had no young people to bear children, no parents to nurture a new generation. The damage was irreversible, and the city faced an inevitable decline. As Layla stood before the dwindling crowd, she realized the harsh truth. Mirath had sacrificed its future for short-term gains. The strict enforcement of birth control, though well-intentioned, had led to the city's ultimate downfall. And so, Mirath became known as the Vanishing City, a haunting reminder of the delicate balance between population control and sustainability, a lesson for all cities that followed.